the stage of my career that I'm at, it wasn't very difficult to not choose it, because it came to me. I mean, it's a big show. It's a big character. It's a big iconic character. So when it came to me and I auditioned for it and I got it, I was obviously thrilled. But thankfully, when I went in, when Abhay gave me the script and you read it and you realize that, oh, this is very well thought out, and somebody's put in a lot of work into research and the writing of it.
Hi Arjun, thank you for joining us today at Midday, and congratulations on a big success of Rocket Boys. The first thing that I want to ask is, playing an iconic character like APJ Abdul Kalam, who is in terms of, in the subject of science, or as the president of the country, what did you think, what responsibility you had on your shoulder when you were playing such a character?
The fact that Dr. Kalam has not yet been fully represented on screen came with its own pressures. Yeah. But I think it was exciting to play him. He's such a popular figure in our memory, in public memory, that I think there was a lot of excitement to play him. And you do, actually the sense of responsibility came in only after we started filming. And we started with the Pokhran sequence. So we shot both the seasons parallelly. And there was the lockdown, and so then we were waiting for the lockdown to open at some point. And eventually when it did, we started shooting with the Pokhran sequence, and that sequence is so huge and intense, and it's so historic. That's when you felt like, oh, this is something big and serious and responsible that you're filming. So I think when I went on set and did that first sequence is when I felt.
I mean, while shooting, you must have had that sense, that feeling, oh God, I hope I am doing justice to this character, this person who in real life has been an idol figure to a lot. Yeah. I remember reading his books when I was a kid. Right. So he's somebody that everybody would look forward to, So I'm sure it must have been like, oh my God, I'm doing this. Did it feel like that at a point?
More than oh my God, I'm doing this, it felt like, is this the right way to play it? Because again, we don't have any reference of, with whether be it Sarabhai, whether be it Dr. Sarabhai or Dr. Baba. We don't have any visual reference of them from back in the day. So there was always this feeling of, after doing every scene or before every shoot day, are we getting this right? Is this the meter that you played at? Is this the tone of the character? So those were the questions that we kept asking ourselves every day.
I have a question when you say this, in regards to the fact, when you mentioned that, there are not a lot of research work that you could do in regards to, you did not have a lot of visuals to study, and maybe in terms of how the person speaks or how the person walks as such. Right. Just how the person dresses up and looks in a particular manner and what work they've done. That's, I think, the major part that you've had, when you're playing such a character. So that would have been very difficult. I mean, I'm not an actor, but when I can think of it, and that too a historical character. It's not fictional.
The thing is, now that we are done with the series and it's released, I feel like in retrospect, I think somewhere it's also easier that you don't have so many references, because then it takes the pressure off of trying to sort of match
your own element to it.
Correct. Yeah. There is the risk, of course, because whatever you portray, however you play that character, I think it's about how the audience is going to react to it. Correct. So I think not having visual reference, today when I look back, and because this question is always asked to us, so today when I look back, maybe it was nice, it was easier to not have those references, because you could bring in your own your own feel to it, use your imagination, so it's slightly liberating.
When that project came to you, what made you choose this role? I mean, of course, the script must have been interesting enough. When we are watching the series, it's very evident, you cannot take your eyes off. You're just waiting what is coming next. Like, I remember the first season, that scene where, Dr. Homi Baba is just passing by and he's kind of figuring out there's something going on, right? That scene. And even honestly, the end scene of the second season, when you're just standing in that space, when the project is done, it's successful, and you're like, I had a feeling, is there a third season coming? Are we going to see the coming of Kalam in the series.
That you have to ask the producers of the show.
But I hope that happens, you know. It would be so intriguing to, you know, look forward to it. And I'm sure if something like that comes out, everybody in the who's watching and the viewers will be like, okay, fine, we know that this is coming and we have to look forward to it. Yeah. So how did you choose this role? Like,
Well, the stage of my career that I met, it wasn't very difficult to not choose it, because it came to me. I mean, it's a big show.
Yeah.
It's a big character. It's a big iconic character. Yeah. So when it came to me and I auditioned for it and I got it, I was obviously thrilled. But thankfully, when I went in, you know, when Abhay gave me the script and you read it and you realize that, oh, this is very well thought out, and you know, somebody's put in a lot of work into research and the writing of it. So everything was there for me to say yes to it. And yeah.
There's an option of saying no to
Yeah,
this.
there was no, and there's, you don't see these kind of shows, you know, it's not your regular kind of show, and it's a show about scientists. And to have a show about scientists which is going to, you know, hold the audience's imagination, the audience's attention for 2 seasons, there must be something more to it. So, yeah.
And did you ever ask the director how did he start? How much time did he take to research all of this, come with this plan or the plot or choosing the characters? Given the fact, like when you see the actors who are in the series, they are not fairly big stars. Say for instance, like Amitabh Bachchan or something like that. But all of them have done their part in the industry. For instance, Jim Saab. If you take Regina, if you take Ishwak, if you take yourself, all these people, Sabha as well, they all done very different kind of films, and I hope you're getting my point what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So when it comes to that, I mean, that would have worked on very differently, you know.
I think that's the strength of the, I mean, of course, the fact that, you know, Nikhil sir and Abhay went with a cast like this, because I'm sure even they knew that they had very solid material on hands, where, you know, the other factors that are, you know, you consider the other factors for making a show or a film, they didn't have those pressures here, I'm assuming, because I think they went to the strength of the story and the script, and they knew that it would work. So I think
it turned out to be the best series. Right, IMDb also mentioned it.
So like, yeah, we need to thank them for showing that conviction and faith in us, all of us as actors. You know, and with also Abhay being, it's his first project, and he's so young. So I think, you know, all credit to both Nikhil sir and, you know, his team for...
I mean, I remember I was just researching over internet. You remember I made that tweet after watching the second season. I put up that photo. I made sure that I get into Instagram, take a solid picture of this person, put it on, and I really wanted to put it that way, that, you know, I'm so happy to see this character. And when I got through it, when I was looking for the director, I was studying it, and I said, this person is so young. He's done a fab job there. And yeah, and did you guys really imagine it to be turning out to be such a big hit or anything?
Absolutely. You know, even when the trailer released, and with the kind of response that we got, and you know, Abhay kept saying that, yeah, the trailer is great, I don't know if the show is that great, you know, he would say such things, but eventually the fact that the audiences really, you know, accepted the show in the way that they did, was obviously very surprising. I was surprised. I don't know about Abhay
also because,
and
you
Nikhil.
know, not everybody, you know, turns around and look forward to a series of this kind of a subject.
Correct. Because everything is that we mostly watch today it's also because of the way our, you know, what we see on social media or on these platforms, we are tuned to watch something which is like a cliffhanger or something which is fast paced. So this was not one of those shows.
When it comes to you in real life as an actor, you work for Malayali films, you're working for Marathi films, you have movies lined up already coming in the near future, and you've been nominated for New York Indian Film Festival for Best Actor for Vart.
Yeah.
Did you see that coming as well? Did you feel, okay, this is also happening?
No, so the thing with Vart is it's an independent film, it's an independent Marathi film. and we've been waiting for a festival release, and finally it got selected at the New York Indian Film Festival. So it feels nice because it's in the times that we're in. I think it's difficult for it's become a lot more difficult for independent films to get a platform as opposed to what it was 3 or 4 years back. So that way, I'm just happy that Vart got selected at a festival like this.
Yeah. And how do you balance? You're coming from the southern part of the country. How do you balance the languages?
Well, I grew up in.
Marathi.
So I grew up in Pune, so I have a sense of the languages there. But how do I manage? I'm managing it with a lot of difficulty. But let's see how things turn out.
Yeah, and like when it comes to you, where does your heart reside? In Mumbai, like you always travel around.
True. Well, the way my careers started off, I don't have an answer to that question, because the thing is, the first 3 or 4 films that I did, none of them came out. So I mean, I suddenly had 3 or 4 releases in 3 or 4 months, but that work had been done over a period of 3 or 4 years. So the answer to that question I don't have right now, because I just kept doing things that came my way, and I didn't predict that it's going to release in this manner, or these.
I mean, Jhund or like
Jhund
lot
and
of
Pada and Dear Friend.
All of the
Sri Lanka was a long time back. So after that is when I did all these films, but none of them released. So it took a long time to release. Then the lockdown came. So the fact that all of these different languages, the films that I did in different languages, released together. So I don't have a straightforward answer to that. Let's see what happens.
But do you think that people are, diving more towards regional films now? See, for instance, if you take Natu Natu, it became a hit. I think I'm just using a very simple word for it being just a hit, but it's become a worldwide sensation for a fact that, who would have thought that this will turn out this way, right? So do you think people are leaning towards that now? Everybody is looking forward to Marathi films or southern films.
So the thing is, I think the big factor was the lockdown when we were all at home.
Correct.
And now we started looking at content which was beyond, everyone started looking at content which is beyond the Hindi.
I mean, basically people were just binging on every sort of
Right,
content.
and then there are subtitles and the OTTs came, so people started discovering, films from other languages. So I think that's the reason why people are looking at other languages, and I think I'm excited to see where this goes, because now we're looking at films which are being made that will cater to audiences irrespective of the language that they understand or they're used to. So let's see where that goes. The fact that we're all watching so much of content, I think today language does not matter as much as what you're watching. I have seen shows on Netflix which are, from, Scandinavian countries. I don't understand the language, but I sat and watched them. That's interesting content. So languages, beyond languages, I think people are looking at what kind of content they can really sit and watch. Because also now, you're not watching the films in theatres. You're not going to watch these films in theatres. You're watching them in your own space. So that much more variety of content is available. But having said that, watching, a Kantara for a houseful show in Kannada, in Mumbai, was heartening to see.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I watched Kantara twice in the theatre. My husband was not here. I went with a friend, and just after that, Nitin Kamath.
Yeah.
He made a post on LinkedIn saying he comes from that place,
right.
And he was obliged that this is finally coming out, and nobody would know about these things unless you're bringing these things to the table, right? And even for that, when you talk about not just Kantara or Natu Natu or Rocket Boys or anything, if I take Sri Lanka for an example, I'm sorry, I've not watched the movie, but I've seen the trailer, and if you understand the logic behind the movie, it's just somebody who's actually traveling with the idea of work from home, and what happens throughout. No, I think even now I'm lagging behind when it comes to watching those kind of content, but it's a very different content. It's
True.
a content.
You don't know what's going to surprise you today.
Yeah.
Like, yes, when it comes to films, watching a film in theatre, I think there is a certain pattern that we all see,
Correct.
that you want to watch a certain kind of film. But when it comes to the OTT space, I think people are a lot more open to it.
Yeah.
Because I think the commitment to watching something on OTT is very different from, say, going to a theatre and
I
watching
think I can use a term, something like mood binge here.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know. It just
Okay.
randomly came to my mind that when you have Netflix or Prime or anything open in front of you, or Sony in front of you, you pick and choose depending on your mood as well. What do you want to watch?
True.
Right.
And you spend a lot of time trying to pick what you want to watch.
Same thing like when people are ordering food, like आधा घंटा phone पे time निकाल रहे to order food. So
Right.
it's just like that. But then certain things like for instance Rocket Boys, you watch it, you know ये देखना ही है.
True.
It's something you would look forward
True.
to.
Yeah.
So even Sheila answer looked the same way to me, and yeah. So now, if I ask you, what are the coming projects? Like you have Malayali films coming in the picture right now, Marathi also. You're working on short films as well.
I haven't done a short film in a long time, but as far as Malayalam films are concerned, I did a film called the film that's going to release. It's a film called Ullorku, which means undercurrents. It's a film with Parvati that I did. That's the one up for release. I just finished a Malayalam film which I'm not allowed to speak about. So, and as far as future projects are concerned, we'll speak about it when I finally go on set and shoot them.
Okay, so now I think another thing that comes into the picture, nowadays actors are coming forward in a pattern where it doesn't matter when you're starting from Bollywood or you're starting from Tollywood. These names just don't feel
It's
like
sort
they
of,
belong
yeah,
at this
true,
point of
true,
time. It's
true.
just Indian
Those
film.
boundaries have
exactly.
yeah.
There are no boundaries as such. They are going across within the country borders, if you
True,
say it. Like,
true.
say, if you take Rashmika Mandanna, if you take Vijay Deverakonda, if you take lot of other actors, if you take yourself, you've been doing different genres, you're doing different languages, and do you see yourself sticking to Hindi, and you would always want to, just
I would like to
experiment with it?
I would love to do films in all the languages that I possibly can, because the times have yes, I mean most of the work that I've done is in Malayalam films. So, but having said that, I think those like you said, the borders are sort of it's disappearing. But I also think it's about how people view you in a particular film or in a particular language. So I think the work that comes in is also based on that. It's not completely up to, at least the stage that I'm in, it's not completely up to me. I would hope to, work in Iranian films if...
Keep your field open.
Yeah.
Are you that person like who's excited and would want to jump into it, or you would want to take it slow, like see what's coming forward, study it and then move forward with it? Like for instance, I am working on something. Like if you're working on a project and you're like, oh my god, this is also coming forward. Oh my god, this is also coming. I want to do all of
Well,
this.
as an actor, you just hope that everything falls in place and
Yeah.
your dates don't clash with any of those things.
True.
That's
So you would want to take a slow pace, but and things lined up in a proper manner.
Well, it always helps because I think even today, like gone are the days when people would shoot for 3 or 4 films at the same time. I think today everything is a lot more streamlined, where you can work on one film at a time, finish that and work on the other. I think that's the culture that we are in today. That's the system that we follow today. So, yeah.
And who has been your biggest critique,
Myself. I think that's true with a lot of actors. I think the biggest criticism is something that we tell ourselves after watching the work. It's very uncomfortable to watch your own self on screen. So you have, right.
Okay.
So, but I have a bunch of very close friends who are mostly not from the industry, and they give me good feedback. So, because I think your friends give you the best, honest feedback, because they've also seen you do work over the years. And you also have a bond, or you have a trust with them, because you do get feedback from everybody. and it can throw you off.
And as an
at
actor, you
times.
have feedback in every
Right.
other page you open
Right,
on
right.
online.
There is the
Yeah.
audience's feedback, but also, what your closed ones give you is something that you can really use to, they might see something that an audience might not see because they know you
Yeah.
personally and they've been seeing you.
They know
the-
your capabilities.
Right. So, but it's also important to have those 3 or 4 people who you really trust, because feedback also can become very, it's not always easy to take feedback in the right way unless and until you trust that person. So,
If I may ask, had not been an actor, what was your other career options that you thought, okay, I would want to do this, or I would just try to see, and you just, or maybe you just wanted to do this?
no, I've wanted to do this since, I don't know when, since I was really small. So, I don't think I would have wanted to do anything else.
But do you
I had no other talents also.
But I was reading through I was going through an article where you mentioned that you for FTII you gave the exams.
Twice in a row.
Yeah. So
And I didn't make it, yeah.
Yeah, but you were still trying to study films only. You
Right,
were
yeah.
very clear that you wanted
So
to do
that
this.
way, the Film Institute, because I grew up in Pune, and although I didn't get through to the acting course in the Film Institute, I was very lucky that the Film Institute has a very relaxed open door policy where I got to act in the films made by the students there. And then
Yeah.
because you became friends with all of
Contacts.
them, you could sit in for some class of theirs, and I spent a lot of time there because of the friends that I made there and the student films that I worked on. So that way, despite not getting a chance to study acting there, I think I learned a lot just being around on that campus.
And what about, I'm sure you must have been asked this question a lot of times, but working with Amitabh Bachchan, like, I think it's a personal question, everybody would want to know how does it feel like, just sitting next to Amitabh Bachchan. And I have seen a photo just before coming for the interview that you're discussing a scene or something on a dining table with him.
That
Tell us
scene?
about it.
Well, that photograph, actually, the most interesting thing about that photograph is that we were actually trying to figure out how that laptop works. So that's the photograph. But yeah, it was surreal. Yeah, you get goosebumps when you've been watching Mr. Bachchan since the day you were born. So to get an opportunity like that, I'm very lucky to work on a film like Jhund, on the subject that it was, and the fact that it was Nagraj sir's film. But to have Mr. Bachchan on set, you just.
What was the first day like?
The first day was,
When you
I
walked
couldn't even look at him. I was like, is this, because I think that's the first time I really saw someone famous. So,
And that too Amitabh Bachchan.
Yeah, that too
You
Amitabh
started
Bachchan,
with
so-
someone like that.
but after a few days, after we started filming, I think you also saw why he is where he is, the dedication and his punctuality and the way he's on set and the genuine love for his work. I think that all of that really rubs off on you because he's been doing it for 50 years. So
Did you at a point when you're working with him feel like, you feel like a student and there's something I can learn from him?
yeah, of course. I think everyone, no, just the fact that, we are still new. This is just our first few films. So I think the amount of passion and love that we have is naturally there because there's so much more for us to do and explore. But to see somebody who's done that for 50 years in over, 200 films, you just hope that you can bring in that kind of dedication and work ethics as your work progresses, because I think that makes you truly an actor that everyone wants to work with or the audiences love. I don't think it's just luck or
True, yeah.
I think he's really,
Worked hard for it.
I'm sure he's worked really hard for him to still make films, for him to still have
Yeah,
people.
I mean, he's somebody who can still write solo, making a movie absolutely by himself.
True.
So, bang on. Anyway, do you see him as your idol?
He, of course, which actor doesn't see him as an idol? Growing up, we all grew up on his films. The thing with me is because, my dad was Malayali, my mother's Tamil. The films that we watched were all a mix of Hindi, Tamil and Malayalam. So everyone today, all of them, whether be it Mammootty sir, Mohanlal sir, Rajni sir, Kamal sir, everyone's been around for so long that you sort of, I think for it's like, every kid wanted to be, our generation's kid wanted to be a cricketer because we saw Tendulkar on the pitch, right? So it's similar with all of them. So I grew up on all of their films. So I think you saw them and that's why you felt like, man, maybe I would want to do that.
And whom do you see yourself working with in the future? I'm think I'll stop interrupt you here. I'll not. I know I'm asking this in specification in the fact that whom would you want to work with? Given you would always want to explore, work, be out of that comfort zone, work with different kind of people. But if that one person, this person really is something, I would really want to do it.
So many now. How do I give an answer to that question? Because like we discussed, there is work from every part of the country that everyone's looking to do. I think everyone wants to work with actors and directors from across industries. So I think as long as the story is great and it's exciting, we all have legends in every industry that we have, every language that we have today, and I would like to work with all of them. But ultimately I think I've been lucky that I've got to be part of films where the writing has been really strong. When the writing is strong, I think that much more it becomes that much more easier to for that film or that series to be made into finally what it becomes. I think is dependent so much on the writing, and I've been lucky to be part of something where the writing's been strong, and because like I said, now everyone's watching content across the board, despite it being from different languages. I think what really holds it is the writing. Correct. Because at the end of the day, we're watching stories, and the stories are what's really making it intriguing. We might not know who that star is or who that actor is, but we go to watch those films. The story is exciting.
So whose writing or whose direction skills really inspire you would want to?
If it's Hindi, there is I like Abhishek Chaube's work a lot. Anurag sir's there. So yeah.
All right, Arjun, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
It was great chatting with you, and good luck for your future endeavors.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.